So in the last video I was having trouble with the autofocus, but it looks like I've got it fixed now, so hopefully this video looks a lot better. Hey, welcome back to Reality Tech. I have a bit of a confession to make. I've been feeling kind of like a fraud. Haven't felt like myself lately. Because if it were up to me, I would never have this plant in the background. Joking aside, in this video, I'm going to sort of unbox review, a few cheap gaming mice. Some I found on eBay, some I found on AliExpress. Got a few of them here, well, all of them here. Most of them, as you can see, are pretty plain, brandless packaging. And some actually look a little more legit. But after just testing them all to see if they work, they all seem like pretty good options. So now I'm going to go a little more in depth on the quality of them, my first impressions. I'm going to go through some categories and see which mice win in each category. Is it mice or mouses for computers? Quick Google looks like mice for computer mice is more common. So like I was saying, go a little more in depth of my first impressions of these mice, which look like the best quality for the price. I tried to keep them all under $15 if I could, including the Razer one. One of them I believe went like $16, but it's because the first company I ordered it from was out of stock at the moment, so I just went ahead and ordered it for $16 in order to get it quicker for the video. It was like $14 the first time I ordered it. So without further ado, I'm going to move to the desk and do the world's quickest unboxing. That way we can get straight into these mice. So this guy here is a simple design. First impressions, it looks pretty good. The dongle is here, classic simple USB dongle. If I set that aside, the one issue I did have with this one is I was expecting it to be RGB, but it of course wasn't that simple. So if I go ahead, you can see that it looks like it's gonna be using RGB based off of the white surroundings, but as soon as it's connected, it looks like it's really just using the laser light itself of the optical mouse to create that lighting effect. They're just letting it shine through the whole thing. So you can see when I'm not moving it, it's dim, just a little bit of light here, and then as I move it, it'll light up. It looks good, especially if you're the type of person that would set it to red anyway. It looks fine. Lighting isn't reaching very far here, looks like. Reaches pretty good on this side, not too much on that side. The movement here, pretty natural. I'm not feeling anything that's feeling like latency. Clicks feel good. The scroll feels good. It's not very clicky, it's kind of mushy, but I can definitely feel each segment as it scrolls. That all feels good. A single AA battery. We'll see how long this thing lasts. So yeah, first impressions just from now. I'll probably give this thing a 6 out of 10 because it'll be a good middle ground. The lighting obviously isn't very bright or controllable, and it's not even RGB. So we'll call this thing a 6 out of 10 because it still feels good. So yeah, I'll give this one a 6 out of 10 like I said. And this one I paid $11.10 for. This one is called the Zero Date T26 charging cable here. So this plugs into a charger or just a USB port on your computer. And then up here you can see we've got a USB-C plug here, and both of the USB chargeable ones, let's see if I can show you this, when you plug them in will turn on with the blue light to indicate charging. Alright, so this one, if we move to the bottom, the USB dongle is here. Again, same, just kind of basic design. I'm going to need to keep these separated so I don't get them mixed up. We have off, no, and light. So no is functioning, but no lighting effects on the mouse. And then light will turn those on for us. So if I go ahead and turn off the light, so it's got this kind of wing power symbol. This one has a similar scroll feel to the other one, although this one feels a little bit smoother, a little less grinding than the other one. The smoothness of it feels great. Scrolling feels good. Okay, now the other feature I want to check out with this one is the RGB switch here. Looks like it's messing with the speed. Cycle through. Now it's looks like it's doing a slow fade. If I hit it again, maybe, yeah, it looks like moving it. It's sort of reacting to being moved. And then this goes back to the quick cycling of the first one. Alright, so this one I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. It has better lighting effects. It's not as bright as I'd like it to be, but it still feels like a bit of a better build than the other one. Just seems more legit, like a more legit product overall. And then of course it being rechargeable with USB-C, so that's probably already going to be your phone charger. It's just a really nice addition that kind of brings it up a notch. This one I paid $16.51 for. This is the one that was out of stock from the other seller, so I paid just a little bit more for this. I'm going to let myself get away with it, counting for under 15. So this one, I believe, is called the Hongsund, is how I would assume you say it. This one is wired, but it does have a nice fiber, just black fiber cord here. What are you doing, buddy? It's got a good long cable, probably 3 or 4 feet. This end is nice, pretty standard. So if I go ahead and plug this thing in, the drivers will pop up fine, just like normal. Let me turn off the light here. As you can see, lighting on this one is much more vibrant and clear. It's kind of got a 3D look to it. Yeah, this one's lighting carries really nice to the edges. This one just feels like a really good mouse. Yeah, this one obviously is wired, so that could be a drawback, but I've never been much of a stickler for that. Let's see how this one reacts. Feels really responsive. I wouldn't have any issue with these. Right click, good. Middle click, good. Scrolling is good. Nice and smooth, and also has a good click to it. So the difference with this one versus the last T26 one is that these two buttons on the back here are DPI plus and minus, but that's fine for me because it's just a little more control. So if I'm gaming and I know I want to turn it down versus turning it up, this is feeling to me like there's 3 stages, maybe 4. Let me see if I can find any info on that. Yes, it looks like 4 DPI stages. Right, so this one I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. The thing that takes it back from the other one is it is wired instead of wireless, but that means you're never going to have to recharge it, and the lighting design is just way better on this one. Not the design so much as just how vibrant it is and how bright it is and how good the light carries to the edges. This one I only paid $10.06 for. This one is the X9. We'll go ahead and plug the dongle in. It works right away. So obviously on is going to do the same thing where it's now working. On with the light bulb is going to turn on the colors. This one actually is an invisible optic, so it's not going to shine red like the other ones. If I look here, very responsive still. The interesting thing about this one, which is actually kind of cool, is that like the title of the listing said, it is a silent click. So if you look, you can't hear those clicks. This one, scroll is a little closer to grinding, but middle click is nice. Middle click and the side buttons are not silent, which is kind of weird, but it's a cool design for these mice. You can barely hear it right up to the microphone. Let me turn off the light here. You can see this one's color is still pretty dim, especially compared to the last one, but it looks nice here. It's a good simple design, and it's just looks like it's just on slow fade, and maybe, yeah, it looks like it's got 2 or 3 zones that it's different colors at once. This one I'm going to give a 7 out of 10 as well. The main thing that's holding this one back are that the side and middle clicks aren't silent like the left and right are. I really like the concept of that left and right click, so I wish it would have stayed consistent through the whole thing. Lighting looks nice though, and it feels good. It's nice and responsive. I like those silent clicks, like I said. And then the other thing holding this back is of course that micro USB charging port as opposed to the USB-C of the other ones. But yeah, very good overall. This one I paid $14.42 for. Alright, so lastly we're moving on to the kind of strange one in the mix, because Razer is a name brand and it's 10 million sold, #1 selling. The way I got this one, I got this on eBay. This one's price on eBay was $17.99. With tax it would have added up to $19.41, but by making it my first purchase on the eBay app, I got $10 off, so I only paid $9.41. So it's our cheapest mouse yet, and it's obviously the most legit one, being a name brand. If you look up Razer DeathAdder V2 Mini, there's videos like, is it still the best gaming mouse? So the reason I went with this instead of a cheap mouse just like the other ones is because this is a focus on this channel, is shopping smart. So by finding some deals and just looking up, seeing what you're willing to try, like in this case, I know eBay is pretty nice with satisfaction guarantees, so if I just read the whole description and everything seemed good, it didn't say just box only or manual only or picture of the mouse, I felt comfortable buying this, and if I needed to, I can go to eBay and say, hey, they did not deliver on what their description promised. So if I go ahead and plug this in, the strange thing about this one is since it's Razer Chroma controlled, after a little while when plugging this thing in, this thing will actually, I guess it's kind of got a USB drive thing going on where it will bring up an installer for Razer software. So let me go ahead and plug this in. I've already done that, so we don't need to sit through it. Super responsive, but it doesn't feel much different than the other ones. Maybe a little bit. It just feels more like direct control, but the others don't feel laggy. Everything is super customizable, so I can control this to be reactive to things I'm doing, and you can even do very specific things like any mouse button. So maybe these side buttons will run keystrokes. You can do things like change the DPI setting. So if you know you're never going to want a slow DPI, you're just going to want to cycle between high DPIs. Like you don't want to go from 800 DPI to 8100 DPI. You're just going to want to go between 7000 DPI and 8100 DPI. You can set the stages of each DPI click to a custom number. So yeah, of course, I'm going to give this one like a 9 out of 10. It feels great, very sturdy, good build, very comfortable to use, and a lot of features. The lighting isn't as much as some of the other ones. It's just this logo here, but it still looks really nice. I don't feel like I'm really missing anything, especially from a mini lower end Razer mouse. It's a very good mouse and a very good quality, especially for the price I got it at, which was $941. So there you go, all the mice in all their glory in the order I looked at them in. If I were to rank them, I would probably just keep them in the same order that I had in the ranking, which is like the 6 and then the 7 to 8 range, and then this 9 over here. But if I had to give them categories, let's say features, I would probably go with this G821, I believe it was, then the X9, then the Hongsund, and then the 0-Date T26, and of course Razer because of how much you can customize it. Next, if I were to rank them by lighting, I would have to put the bottom this G821 because of it just being that red light that lights up when you move it. Next, I would give it to the X9 because it's just the on or off dim setting color cycle. Next, I would actually give it to the 0-Date T26. It does have the control for what setting you want it on, but it's blocked in the logo and it's not as bright on the edges as the Hongsund, which just has a much nicer look. And then Razer, I would probably put it equal with the Hongsund because you can control it more, and it would be nice if you had a Razer keyboard, but it's not as budget as some of the other things that I would ever put on this channel. So the only thing I would really ever do would be this sort of color cycle thing. So I think I'm going to put that equal with the Hongsund. In terms of quality and sturdiness and just how good the build of these things feel, I think lowest I'm going to go with this one because it not having RGB, I think is throwing me for a loop. The scroll is not great, but again, this thing feels great still. The AA battery makes it feel nice and heavy. The DPI switch, I believe, is the exact same thing as this one. How far the light reaches, it isn't as high quality as the rest of these. Next, I'm going to give it to this X9 because of the silent clicks. It just feels like it's designed for what it should do. It's only rated at this 3 million clicks, but maybe that's them underselling themselves and being a little more realistic than some of these other ones. But the quality still feels really good. It feels sturdy. Maybe not as sturdy as this one, but I think the weight is maybe just making me think that. Next, I'll give it to the 0-Date over here. The reason that this one feels better than this one is I think just because the switches, having two of them that actually do two different things, makes it feel above this one. The side clicks are almost the exact same as this one. I think the buttons may be the same thing. And the other thing that puts this one a little bit above this one is the USB-C. It just feels more sturdy. USB, or micro USB rather, is just known for breaking off and stuff if it ever has an issue. It's just a worse connection overall. USB-C really is the way to go these days, and even something this cheap, being under $15, having USB-C really just goes to show like how much more advanced this one is than this one. And fourth, I'm obviously going to give it to this Hongsund just because it feels really good. It's very surprising how nice this thing feels. Having a specific plus and minus on DPI is nice. The lighting looks great. It feels like a good quality, and responsiveness is great. And then of course the top is going to have to go to this Razer just because it's name brand. It's built to last. Rated for 70 million clicks as opposed to the other ones that the lowest. This one's rating itself at 3 million, so 67 million more clicks you're going to get out of this thing. If I were to actually recommend one of these, it would probably be this Hongsund just because it feels so clean and legit. If I were to recommend a wireless one, I would probably go with this T26. Maybe if you want to find one that's called Model T26 without this design if you don't like that, but it still looks really nice. This one is more specialized for the silent clicks. And of course, I would definitely recommend seeing if you can find one of these Razer ones. That's kind of a specific thing to find, is a Razer mini thing for cheap, but I still would highly suggest it. Again, here's all the prices I paid for on all of them. So hope you enjoyed this video, and hope it had some good tips if you want to check out any of these mice, or even just some good tips on how to shop cheap. If you enjoyed it this time, I'm going to ask you to maybe click like, just see what it does. I think it'll turn blue, some people say. Other than that, you can subscribe as well if you want to see anything more coming this way. Comment below if you actually like pineapple on pizza so I can ban you from the channel. And remember that when you say forward or back, your lips move in those directions.